bullshit.
Yeah. But at the same time, and I always say this in a lot of situations, I feel like this is going to be one of them situations where the best thing for Cardi to do is just not address it. Sometimes you got to let stuff die out. Because you keep feeding into it in a battle that you probably can't win.
Yeah.
It's going to go bad for you.
I just saw that she had 100 million streams first week, so she ain't got nothing to...
nothing to prove.
Nothing to worry about, nothing to prove. She's doing well.
She set tons of records already for a female artist. She got tons of streams, tons of plays. And usually when you start addressing stuff that could be detrimental to your career, it goes wrong.
Yeah. And I think with her management team now, shared with Migos, I think they're going to put in the right direction. I'm really happy for how things are going with her. You know, she's, the baby reveal on Saturday Night Live, and right now her rollout is going perfectly.
Going perfect. And the worst thing she can do is address some dumb stuff.
Don't get bogged down into a fucking rap battle when you're pregnant and Nicki's hungry.
And like people right now, just like you said, on the Cardi B train, like technically they feel like the rollout of the pregnancy is empowering and it's great and everything is wonderful. You got a legit album, you got tons of streams, you're gonna get tons of sales. You're performing on Saturday Night Live. Just keep doing what you're doing, like letting radio stations and blogs pull you into some drama that has nothing to do with you.
You can only lose supporters at this stage.
It's only what you're gonna do.
And there's no benefit in doing that. And she just needs to sit back. She did all her hard work getting that album out. Now she can sit back and collect that money.
Yeah.
And nurture that young Offset. Offset Jr.,
that young Offset.
On set. Just let it just take care of him and, come back and work on her next, just start focusing on the next project.
Yeah, like, I don't see why she would do anything besides that. But
comparison! That's what I'm about.
Yeah, like comparison is dangerous on so many levels. And I would never want to be famous and have to be compared to anybody because it's never you that actually makes that comparison. It's everybody in society that feels the need to make comparison, and then it gets out of hand. That's like when anybody compare themselves to Beyonce. I guarantee you the Beehive will
they eat you up.
The Beehive will show up and show out, and they'll push you into something that you really don't, you know what I'm saying, that you really don't probably have anything to like invest energy into. Like, why would you invest energy into a battle that you didn't create? Sometimes, and that's good along with comparison. Sometimes you got to know how to step away from being compared and just tell people, you know what, if that's your opinion, man, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it, but whatever.
How do you deal with when people try to put a comparison in front of you between you and someone else?
Personally, this could be viewed as a good habit or a bad habit, but either way, I got a habit of I don't typically acknowledge people's opinion, people's facts. Just to be honest, like I typically don't acknowledge people's opinions because there's just so much variety in opinions. Now you come at me with some facts, like I might listen, but I still might not necessarily buy into the comparison just because people are so unique in their own right. A lot of people try to be like each other, but at the same time, people are people. They're going to always be different. So when somebody come at me and be like, you act just like whoever, or you do this like whoever, or when I'm in a relationship and like, you remind me of whoever. First of all, you done set up an unrealistic expectation for yourself. This is why I say that, because I'm gonna wake up me, I'm gonna go to bed me. If you expected me to be somebody besides me, you're failing very, very, very drastically. Because what I found too, and this is a bad habit too. Usually when people are compared and they feel like it's a good comparison, they try harder to either be the person they're compared to or exceed the person they're compared to. Like,
people try to assimilate more than distinguish.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, me personally, like, my way of dealing with it is you got to know how to acknowledge fact from opinion. And one person might be comparing you to somebody someday, and then somebody else is going to be comparing you to someone else. And usually that's based off of who they know and how they view things and what they believe anyway. And when you get wrapped up in feeding into that comparison, you kind of you're screwed a little bit. Like, you just going to screw yourself.
Have you found when being compared to something else or someone else has helped you? Does it drive you for achievement or?
You know what? I can say this as a parent. Like, no, I can say it before I'm a parent. Like, I've been compared to both my son and my brother. And all of our personalities actually are drastically different. We have similarities, but we're drastically different. But like when I'm compared to my son, it's always ironic because I'm his father. Like you comparing me to my son, like naturally my son is probably gonna have certain attributes that I have. But clearly I'm the senior. So so this is already a weird comparison. But it drives me to do better because them comparing me lets me know that he's taking on attributes that are or were indigenous to me that he picked up. So now I need to carry other, healthy attributes that would benefit him so that he picked those up as well. When I'm compared to my brother, like same thing, like I'm just like, all right, you know what? I probably wouldn't be who I am had I not been around my brother in certain situations. So I mean that's a healthy comparison. Now, when I've been compared to people, especially like I come across comparison and random stuff like fitness and traveling and other random stuff. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know 99.9% of the people you're comparing me to. Like, I don't know the names. I don't know whoever. Great. Or people send me a picture and be like, is this you? No, that is not me. Don't know who that is. But, great. Like, it goes both ways. Because usually I'm thinking to myself, if they look like garbage, I might feel some type of way about this. Yeah. But because they don't, I'm like, all right, I must be doing something right. Still don't know who this is. Still don't care. But at least I'm doing something right somewhere. But I also think those comparisons come from the fact that certain behaviors, at least, are socially contagious. So usually I take on certain attributes of the people around me. I mean, prime example, like your sister compare me and you all the time.
All the time.
All the time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, well, kind of obviously, like, yeah, we both do that. Like, all right, that's kind of is what it is. Somebody comparing me to Rich, really what you're saying is we do things alike. That's not really news to me. Like, hey, people compare me to Trey. I'm like, all right, well, yeah.
Well,
I'm about to say, like, yeah, we
spend time together.
I'm about to say, yeah, we act alike in certain ways. So I'm just like, well, that also tells me that I'm surrounding myself with the right people, because more often than not, it's not like they're comparing me in a negative, light. So I'm just like, man, okay.
So maybe the key to comparison is if it matches up with our self-image.
Could be.
But that also could be dangerous if you have a low self-image.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to comparison, I think people who have higher self-confidence aren't affected that much by it.
That's probably true. But I think that go back to, and we see it on social media now, where people live stream suicides and
shooting people in the head.
Yeah, bruh. So I'm like, when you look at
video's fucking crazy.
Yeah, man, don't get me started. But that's another episode. Don't get me on a gun safety setup. Don't trust the people you're around episode. But I mean,
yeah,
like you kind of gotta have a positive self-image before you even start comparing yourself to anything, because if you have a negative self-image, naturally people are going to reinforce it. Like they feel like that's a weak point in your character or flaw that they can pick on and pull out, and they'll do exactly that, because regardless of what people believe, most people honestly are not good people. They're good people to the people that they're close to and the people they care about. I don't mean they're going to be a good person to you. Like, yeah. Like, honestly, if something happened and I need to intervene in certain situations, I may or may not, depending on how I assess that situation. People closest to me, I'm not even going to assess that situation. I'm just going to do what need to be done. It's not because I'm a bad person. It's because people have different levels of priority in your life based on who they are to you, especially emotionally. So while you're running around thinking, all right, well, generally people are good people. No, generally people are just looking out for themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you start doing something like comparing, like no one really cares how you feel or what you compare yourself to, and you could be saying, you feel like crap and you're the worst person ever, and somebody out there is gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, you are.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm completely agree with what you just said, because I've been wanting to say it to you. You know what I'm saying? And they could just be having their own bad day and want to make somebody else feel bad. Like, you never know. So, like it's just dangerous to invest anything in what other people say about you. If you're looking at self-image, that's terrible, and that goes back to putting your happiness in somebody else's hand. You put anything like that in the hands of somebody else, you on a slippery slope.
Yeah, no one's responsible for you being happy.
Nope.
And no one's responsible for you feeling good about yourself. You know, so like if someone's saying like comparing you to Michael B. Jordan, you're like, Killmonger, hey,
oh man,
yeah, I'll take that shit.
Hey man, I drown with my slaves, with my, you know what I'm saying, with my ancestors in those. Of course.
But if they compare you to Forrest Whitaker, you're like, nah, what you trying to say?
Hey man, come on now. I know my eyes even. Why are you tripping like that?
You know, don't compare me to Ghost Dog, you know?
Man.
But it really is about
that is relative. That is a valid point.
It is all relative because we don't mind. There are comparisons we don't mind more than others. Like if you have someone on a certain pedestal, you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And they say like, oh, you like T'Chaka, you're like, hey, what can I do? You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, hey, when you got the power of Black Panther,
you know, at the power of Black Panther, you know,
I'm saying, like,
yeah.
What can I say? But you know, I'm still Killmonger. But
yeah,
Team Killmonger.
But it all depends on, you know, what the point of comparison is.
Yeah. Man, that is super valid, man. Because I feel like that plays into everything else. Because even when you look at other people's lives, your point of comparison could drastically change your viewpoint. Mm-hmm. If you're comparing yourself to somebody that's at a similar point in life, then you know your viewpoint gonna be like, all right, you know, I'm doing relatively well in comparison to everything and everyone around me.
Yeah.
If your comparison point is somebody that's what you view as being ahead of you, and that's showing a highlight reel, you're gonna be like, oh, their life is great and my life sucks. Although you could have everything you want. And you know what? That plays, man, that is kind of a good segue, because I hate when people compare in relationships when what you got is good, great, and fine, and then, you know, the woman or man starts comparing their relationship and who they're with to who their man's or their homegirl is with. Mm-hmm. And then, like, you start thinking the grass is greener based off, you know, what you're viewing. And just like they say, the grass is always greener when it's fake, and that grass can be fake.
What I was going to say. Get over there. Exactly. What the fuck is this turf shit?
Depending on the viewpoint. So it's like, that's what killed me about comparison. When stuff is perfectly fine, and I mean, the beef that we talked about earlier is the exact example of that. Like, everybody's album's legit. Everybody's doing great.
Yeah.
And comparison come in and fuck up a good thing.
Yeah.
When it could have just been left alone completely. But either the parties involved felt the need to compare, or people outside of the relationship felt the need to compare. And that happens in relationships too, because you might have your girlfriends comparing your relationships to somebody else, or to their relationship, or whatever.
Your girl's girlfriends or your man's niggas.
Yep.
Are gonna they're there to support them.
Yep.
Or if they get some haters in the group that are single and don't want anyone else to be happy.
Yep.
But they're gonna look at they have the track record. They have your work history. Your work history, so to speak.
Yep.
So they're gonna always look at those traits that, you know, to them was either a turn off or a turn on, and they're gonna look for those in the next person you're seeing.
Yep.
And if it's either, you know, amenable to what they're thinking, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you onto something." Or if it's atrocious to them, they're like, "Oh, you remember last time?
Yep.
This nigga drank up all the motherfucking soda and his feet stink."
Or if they want what you got, same thing.
Or they want to see you. They don't want to see within your body. You're like, "Nah, I know the signs. Trust me, I've been there, done that."
Yep.
It's only gonna get worse.
And that happens too. And
it's used as a weapon.
Yeah,
they weaponize comparing.
And I mean, the additional caveat to that is, not only do they know your track record, like they know a lot of them, especially if they've been around for a while. Mm-hmm. Like they know the depth of your relationships. And what I mean by depth in that situation is who you've been with, the nature of who you've been with, they know who they want you with and don't want you with, and they gonna always be like, you can find the person you want to be with, and they gonna be like, well, why you with them? You know, you remember such and such. I like